Do you ever feel like you're holding on to something that even though you're feeling a little tug that maybe you should let it go, it's hard to let it go and you just keep holding on? So maybe you hold on because it's familiar. Maybe it's because the thought of letting go is just a little too terrifying. I personally had to make a really big decision for myself, and there were a few questions that I asked before I finally made the decision, and I do think that they truly helped me choose my direction. So, if you feel a little stuck, no matter what you're stuck with, I'm going to share with you 8 questions that you can ask yourself to see if they help you make the decision that you need to make.
Are you ready to stop the chaos, the stress, the overwhelm that's filling your life? I'm Renae Matt, and together you and I are going to build simple routines that are going to change your life. When you put these habits into practice, you're going to be able to organize your life in a way where you can be there for your family, pay off your debt, save money, your house can stay organized, you don't have to stress about what's for dinner, and you still get time for yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Routine Advantage Podcast.
Now, this could be a decision that you're making for so many different things. Now, it could be applying to a business, an activity that's in your life. Maybe it's a job or a side hustle. Maybe it's just something that you have committed time to. It could even be like a habit that you have or a task that you find yourself doing over and over. Like it can apply to so many different things. Maybe it's even the routines in your life, but there are things that we do because they're repetitive and we do them over and over just because it's comfortable and that is just what we do because that's how we've always done it. And there are times where we really need to sit back and ask ourselves if we should be continuing the way that we have been or if we need to switch things up. And I had to do this recently. And as you know, if you've heard some of my past episodes, I have been pursuing a direct sales company, or like not pursuing a direct sales company. I've been in a direct sales company for almost the last 4 years. I've been doing it for so long and I absolutely love it. And I was focusing on it's a makeup company, and I was able to do color matches and really share a unique style of makeup with all different ages of women, and I absolutely loved it, and I loved the makeup, and I loved the reaction of seeing people wear it and teaching them little, like, tweaks and how they can accentuate their features, and it has just been so close to my heart and something that I truly, truly enjoy. And last year, I went through like a whole journaling exercise and it just poured out onto paper that I was supposed to start a podcast and that was the direction to take. And so I did announce to my customers and my team at the time that I was kind of stepping back a little bit to focus on building this podcast. And I just reached a year of the podcast and I needed to make a decision for my direct sales business for my makeup company. And at the same time, I was really struggling to make that decision because there was a part of me that knew that I needed to keep pursuing this podcast. It is something that I actually truly feel God calling me to do and to continue with. But there was also a part of me that didn't want to let my other side of my business go. And it was really scary, and I wasn't sure what to do. And I have been praying about it for so long. And I also, like, I think the biggest question for me is I didn't want to feel like I was leaving behind the customers that were so dedicated and that were so loyal to me. And I didn't want them to feel like I was just walking away from them. So that was really, really hard. And I just prayed about it for a really long time. And I finally kind of went through these questions, and they helped me to really evaluate where I needed to go. And it made me very clear on a decision that I needed to make. And the path that I chose made me incredibly excited, but at the same time, I wanted to cry a little bit and maybe throw up a little bit because it was a really scary decision. And ultimately, if you want to know, I did decide to step away from it. And the reason I did was because of the answers that I had to these questions. And it was just taking too much of my time, just mentally, even focusing on trying to split my mental capacity between my full time job. And then it felt like I had two of my own businesses because they were still very separated, and I felt like I was trying to grow two businesses at once because I was so scared to let my first one go. And this is the decision I made, and it's still a little new and fresh for me, so it's still a little queasy, but I'm incredibly excited about the opportunities that it will afford me to be able to move forward with really growing the podcast and diving into this as being my sole focus on my own personal business. So I'm excited about the decision that I have made, and I feel really good about it. And I think these questions have really helped me choose that. So now that I have blabbered your ear off, just wanted to give you kind of a base understanding of why I really asked these questions. But if you are struggling with something that you are dealing with, like I said, whether it is business related or even a habit or just any sort of time commitment, and you're struggling with whether or not to let it go, I want you to first just pray about it and ask for clear direction. And that is what you want to pray for to begin with, because I know that it helps so much to get a clearer answer when you take just a few moments, even to pray for direction. So I do want to encourage you to do that. And then I want you to grab a pen and paper or a journal, or even if you can't sit down and write these out, just think them through even. But if you can write them out, even better, because then you can just let your pen go and just see what pours out of your heart. So here are your 8 questions when you are trying to make that hard choice of knowing when to hold on to something or to let it go. Is number one, how much time is this taking? And I want you to actually ask yourself in two categories here. I want you to ask yourself, how much time is it taking you physically? Like, what is it physically taking? But how much time is it also taking mentally? So, even if you're not doing, like, actively doing something for whatever you're asking about, is it taking out time out of your day, out of your activities, focusing on other things? Like, is it distracting you? How much time are you actually taking both physically and mentally here? Question number 2 is, what is it costing me? Like, this is more from a financial aspect. What does it cost? Number 3 is the time and financial investment worth the current I can't talk. Is the time and financial investment worth the current return? Question number 4. If I let it go, will it be gone forever? And I want to do a really quick note as we are like halfway through these questions is, if you need to, definitely stop and just pause the podcast and continue when you're ready, or go back and ask these, or like just write them down and come back and ask them as you have time. But I just wanted to make a quick mention of that. Number 5 is, what do I expect to happen if I keep it? Which goes into number 6. What do I expect to happen if I choose to let it go? And number 7, if I choose to let it go, how would I like to spend the time that opens up? And your last question, number 8, if I choose to keep it and it remained the exact same for the next 1, 2, 5 years, would I still choose to keep it? So if there is no change or growth, depending on what you're looking at, if it is the exact same, would you still choose to keep it? So, like I said, these can apply to so many different areas. And if they don't apply exactly, ask yourself a similar question that does make sense for what you're really going through and you're trying to figure out. But I'm hoping that these will really help give you some focus on what to think about as you're trying to make those decisions on making a decision that you feel really good about whether or not you do keep something or you do let it go. And then there's a lot less guilt and there's a lot less shame if you're walking away from something. But it is so important to evaluate our time because time is so precious and you really want to make sure that you're spending your time the way that you want to be spending, the way that God intended you to spend it with you, like if it's with your family, if it's with your friends, if it is building something. There's so many different options out there. And I hope that these 8 questions give you a chance to really just focus in and see where your heart is at. And I know they helped me make my decision, and I feel really good about that decision, even though it was a really scary decision. I do feel really good about it. And I think that everybody has been so great and understanding. And I think that that goes to show like I am on the right path too, because I am incredibly excited to see where this podcast goes. And I am so glad that you're here with me and on this scary adventure with me because it is a big leap of faith to walk away from something and to continue pursuing something else. So I am happy about my decision. I hope that when you go through these questions that you are happy about yours. And I just wanted to leave that with you. So I pray that these help you and I will catch you on the next episode.
Did you love that episode or learn something useful? If so, would you do me a huge favor? My goal is to grow this podcast and help as many women as I can break free from the overwhelm so they can truly enjoy their life. The best way for me to do this is for you to leave a 5-star written review on your podcast app and to share this episode with a friend or in your Instagram stories. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.